Dual Blades. Every time I get to say those words, I come back with a new build to do with my favorite and main weapon in Sunbreak. Today, as you can see, I'm holding some poisonous Dual Blades, the Chameleous Dual Blades. This, of course, ties into Update 1 and the two new wonderful monsters that introduce some skills that are wonderful for status users. We're talking 90% or more poison uptime, leading to an incredible roughly 16,200 damage every 10 minutes against a monster that can be poisoned, not necessarily one that's weak to it. This is, of course, the new skill Status Trigger, causing abnormal status buildup after a successful evade. With 90% uptime or more on poison, that means Foray is active basically the whole time. This is in part thanks to the fact that Dual Blades are absolutely incredible when it comes to element and status. Now, you might know that you get a 35% increase to your element when you activate Demon Mode. But did you know it also affects status in the exact same way? So take our poison right now at 61, we then Demon Mode, and we're now at 81. The same thing works in Archdemon mode. As you can see, with no Archdemon, we're at 61, and now in Archdemon, we're at 72. So as you can see in the footage, it's pretty damn effective. Always having poison build up, always having the benefits of say Foray. The build coming with 5 evade window, making evasions or perfectly timed evasions super easy. Not to mention, this is Dual Blades. When you're in Demon mode and you've got that crazy mobility, the crazy effective dash, I couldn't think of a better weapon to land easy evades. Whenever you land one of those evades though, you're not just getting the crazy status build up, but you're also getting Adrenaline Rush, which is an extra 15 attack every time you do it. So in Update 1, we've got an incredibly effective status poison based build for Dual Blades, so let's talk about it. Also, as always, quick thank you and shout out to Josh for coming up with the build, helping me work out the math and making these videos possible. Here we are at the smithy to talk about our equipment, and this time I'll start unusually with the weapon because yeah, these are obviously the Chameleous Dual Blades, it's no secret. These are incredible. 47 base poison, which we're obviously able to massively increase with the effects of the skills and with Demon mode as well. So having a massive number when it comes to poison, well, that's going to make that uptime so much easier. Not to mention, have you seen the decoration slots on this thing? And purple sharpness and a base attack of 310. It's very good. Naturally, it only has a 2 slot for its rampage decoration, so that means we're going to be doing anti-specific, so you equip whatever the thing you're fighting is actually weak to, be it anti-aquatic, aerial, dragon, fanged, or whatever. When it comes to curious crafting, the augmenting of the weapon, we do not need any more status. It's just unnecessary. So we can benefit from 1 level of attack boost, giving us 5 attack, and 1 level of affinity boost, giving us plus 5% affinity. But now it's time to talk about the armor. We have the Golden Rathian helmet, we have the final boss chest piece, we have the Lucent Nagakuga gloves, Golden Rathian waist, and finally the Espinas boots. This gives us our nice 5 out of 5 evade window to basically secure status trigger easily. We also get our 3 out of 3 foray just from the armor set itself, the bonus to the poison attack, the chain crit, and the adrenaline rush to further increase our damage when we land an evade. From here though, we actually need to get our talismans and decorations to get the rest of the skills. As you can see, we've now got 7 out of 7 attack boost, the full rack of critical boost and weakness exploit. We've also got ourselves some protective polish and speed sharpening to maintain our purple sharpness throughout the entire fight. These are the decorations I've used to achieve those skills, so you can just pause the video and take a look at any of these to basically match it wherever you need to. But lastly comes the talisman, which I show in my videos because it's so good. This is a talisman that has attack boost 3 and then 3 1 slots, which I use to get that speed sharpening using the grinder jewels. As always, when it comes to your talisman, what you want to do is equip something that is a main skill for the build. In this case, getting to 7 out of 7 attack boost, that's going to take a lot of decorations. So a talisman to help with that, that's a good idea. That could be a talisman that has 2 slots, and in that you get 2 attack boost. Maybe the talisman has protective polish on it, as well as those 2 slots. That way you could take out the sharp jewel and then put in another attack jewel. Essentially, your goal is to reach the same level of skills that I have here through your talisman however you can. And there's another way we can achieve that as well. Of course, I mean curious armor crafting, the new RNG system of endgame Sunbreak. We could use the same concept here to augment our armor for a skill that is currently decorated, freeing up a slot for attack boost, or maybe even get attack boost on the piece, whatever. But your second priority after reaching 7 out of 7 attack should be getting crit eye. Because we don't have any in this build, we're going to have a total of 73% affinity throughout the combat generally, so a little bit of extra affinity is going to be very nice. So your number 1 priority is get crit eye on your armor augment. After that, it can be anything really, like comfy skills such as defense boost, increase the size of your slots to get some extra skills, or maybe even a relevant core skill to the build that means you can change your decorations or even an armor piece. Another thing that comes up when it comes to the skills on these builds for dual blades is things like marathon runner or constitution. Yeah, these are comfy skills that you can run in a dual blades build, but I personally find I never have any stamina issues, and if for some reason I did, I could use an energy drink or something. So they're definitely not a priority on the skill list, but a nice comfy skill to have, sure. Now before we get into the math, I just want to make a couple of statements to do with the gameplay. Unfortunately, your dual blades counter and say the aerial evades that occur during your attacks, that will not trigger the status trigger or adrenaline rush. So to get those going, you need to do a true evade. But like I said, that's super easy with dual blades, isn't it? When you're in demon mode and you've got 5 evade window. It's basically the monster's going to do an attack. Okay, I pressed evade. Cool, I got it. But it's important to know that the counter, for example, doesn't work. Then we should talk about protective polish, which we've worked into this build as a really nice, comfy skill to maintain your purple sharpness. Of course, you could drop that and go for something else, like a different comfy skill, but I'm not sure what's going to be as effective and relevant as protective polish for purple sharpness. If you were to drop it, you could make use of the new Silkbind attack, Iron Shine Silk, to recover sharpness and maintain it for a time. That will take up a lot of your attention as you try to manage your wire bugs, but of course it can work because there is a bit of purple sharpness to work with. Personally, I find using protective polish before I enter the fight, and then when I lose protective polish and purple, recovering it with Iron Shine Silk, then just sharpening again as soon as the monster is like wyvern rideable, asleep, or running away or something like that. And lastly, you don't actually need a target weak to or vulnerable to poison, such as Toby here, who's got the 3-star rating on poison. Even monsters with like a 1-star rating, you can just maintain that poison the whole damn time. As long as it's not literally immune to poison, you're good to go with this build. And this is because poison uniquely can be built up while the target is already currently poisoned, leading into the next status effect and keeping foray up the whole time. Now then, for the all-important math. As I said, there is a crazy amount of poison based on the poison uptime. Say a hunt lasts 10 minutes. Having 90% poison uptime, that's 9 minutes of poison. Now the poison's 30 damage per second, so 9 minutes is actually 540 seconds, so 540 times 30, that is 16,200 damage from just poison. Obviously, that's really good. But then we have the actual weapon and armor skills combined to do. So the Chameleos dual blades, they begin with a raw of 310. We have 7 attack in the build, so that's 10% increase to our raw, bringing us up to 341. Then we get a bunch of just raw attack power from a bunch of things. So 7 attack is also plus 10 raw. We also get 5 from the weapon augment, another 15 from the 3 chain crit, and 13.5 from having 3 foray, assuming it's up 90% of the time. If it was up 100%, it'd be 15. Together though, that brings us to 384.5. We have purple sharpness, so that's a 39% increase. So 384.5 times 1.39 is 534.455. Lastly, we have our affinity to consider with our 3 crit boost. From weakness exploit, we have 50% when attacking a weak point, which you should always be doing. We also have the 5% from our weapon augment, and much like the attack power increase from foray, we've also done slightly less for the affinity, giving it 18% rather than the 20% because it's up 90%, not 100%. That totals to 73% affinity with 3 crit boost, so that's 40% extra damage, 73% of the time. 40 times 0.73 is 29.2. So 534.455 times 1.292, that brings us up to a healthy 690.51586, aka 691 raw when rounded up. Very nice numbers, but that doesn't even include the plus 15 you get from having 2 levels of adrenaline rush, which, much like status trigger, activates on a successful normal attack, so the better the player, the more consistent that extra damage will be up. But we can't really include it in the math because it's going to vary player to player. Ultimately, 691 raw is very good, and we can make it even higher with better skill. Slap the poison damage throughout a hunt on top of that, it's very good numbers. But there you have it, that is the poison build for update 1, which is doing really good. To be able to easily say like 90% uptime on any monster that's even vulnerable to poison, that's incredible. And it leads to a fun different playstyle with dual blades thanks to adrenaline rush and status trigger requiring the evade rather than say the counter or aerial evades. A pretty damn good universal dual blades then against any monster that can be poisoned. So if you don't want to make 5 different builds and you just want to try dual blades, this is really the way to go. Although it's going to be slightly weaker than choosing the correct element with a good build and maximizing minimizing the monster's weakness. If you've enjoyed the video, do drop a like on it so we can keep making more build content for you in the future. And I hope in Update 2 they continue this trend of making skills that aren't that used much more relevant in clever ways. For now though, I've been Hollow, you've been you, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.